Hello and welcome, Essex County College family. This is the Virtual Cafe powered by Student Life and Activities. As always, today's episode is number 36. Today we are focusing on community service during COVID-19, things that we can do to help others in our community during a global pandemic. Today with us again this week, Mr. Graham, the Director of Student Life and Activities. Mr. Graham, how you doing today?
I'm doing well today. How's everybody else doing?
We're good.
I'm happy to see you all. I thought that we'd have this virtual cafe to talk about something that's important to our communities as well as to us. I know a lot of people get satisfaction and a lot of fulfillment from giving back. So I wanted to get together to discuss some ideas on how to give back to our communities, whether it's the campus, your neighborhood, the community at large, a greater cause across the world. What can we do together as Essex County College administrators, faculty, staff, students? What can we engage in to better our communities? I know there are a lot of ideas out there and a lot of things that we probably can do to begin to think outside of the box. So I was hoping together we can come together and throw some ideas out there and hopefully walk away at the end of the day with a project that we can target or a few projects that we can target that we can get started on to help benefit in our communities again. Does that sound good to everyone?
Yes.
So I would like to start with a question. Has anybody actively been engaging in any community service since the pandemic has struck us like this?
No, to be honest. I'm wanting to kind of find a way to do that now that, it's been quite some time, so.
Ever since the pandemic started a few months ago, my church that I go to every Sunday, which is East Orange, my Olive Baptist Church, I partner with World Vision Corporation to distribute fresh goods to the neighborhood. And I lend a hand to help my church family.
That is awesome. So Joseph helps out his church during the pandemic, and you were helping out with food, you said, right?
Yes, with fresh produce, fruits and vegetables.
That's awesome. So what do you guys stand outside the church and distribute the food to needy families?
We stack the boxes from the truck, and we give people fresh produce. Okay, let me take this for example. If we stack the boxes to the left, people will form a line and they will sign in. Okay, people will form the line in the left and sign in their name, their phone, their address, and the church members will give out a box. And we stack the boxes to the right. Well, vehicles will come in and form a line, and we give our boxes to families to those in need.
That's awesome. That sounds like a really organized effort from the community, and the church is a great coming together point to distribute that food to the community. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear you're doing that.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent way to give back there, Joseph.
Thank you. Because we in my church family accept those who are in need, and we don't tolerate who are in greed.
Exactly. And for anybody that may have any similar opportunities, you can always share them with us all. That is one idea that I did run across doing my research, was volunteering at churches for food giveaways, clothing giveaways. Another idea that I don't know if a lot of us have considered, and I just ran across this recently, was maybe even reaching out to some of the high schools and the middle schools and volunteering time for tutoring.
Yeah.
Right? Especially for students who may have been coming off of online courses at the end of the last school year. Some may be going into online or hybrid courses. I'm quite sure that they could need additional help in a lot of the subjects that they have to cover. So that is one thing, especially for some of my SGA candidates that I see on the call today, right? That can be an initiative to put forth. Another thing that's connecting with the tutoring, which can be done online, right, is mentoring. It is another way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And that, as an SGA candidate, is one of the things that I discussed in the application was tutoring, and also going into the high schools and, you know, letting students know how to interact with police or in their communities. And then going back to Joe's point with volunteering at the church in East Orange every Sunday, that's an awesome tool. And then I also thought about what if we did like PPE giveaways at a church, you know, where people get masks and gloves and Lysol wipes and just basic essentials that, you know, people might not always be able to spend $5 or $7 at a time on. And just also provide them with information on hand washing and different cleanliness techniques. You know, along with the food, the PPE and COVID prevention goes a long way, because this is really starting to kill us in our community. So, and then we don't want that to continue.
Those are some excellent thoughts. Excellent thoughts. And I know that you mentioned in doing this in conjunction with a church, but this is also something that maybe we can organize amongst our college family at Essex County College, because I'm quite sure a lot of our students, even maybe faculty, staff, are in need of items as well. And sometimes some items are just harder to get for different types of people.
Right.
Right. I had saw
access.
Yeah, I saw their access. Some people's access is decreased due to their vulnerability. I had saw something really cool. There was an article about a town, I believe it was in Pennsylvania, and they kind of created like a system where people would go and check on the elderly and people who were compromised. And then they created a system as to where people would put like a sign in their window when they needed somebody to go to the store for them, and somebody would, you know, arrange and help get that done for them. So that, you know, there are simpler ways, and there are a lot bigger efforts too. But I really like that PPE giveaway in the community, on the college campus. And it may be something that hopefully eventually in time, as supplies increase, we may be able to even get donations for.
Right. Hopefully.
Right. I know locally, Jersey Cares still is doing a lot of things that are accessible. Things like the park cleanups at Branch Brook Park. They have the earth keepers where you go out, you prune, you help weed the different areas of the gardens. They have something similar in Jersey City. And that could be something that we all take a look at together. Now, the only thing about Jersey Cares is they come up with the most awesome stuff, and they are also one of the most popular resources that people turn to. So when we turn to Jersey Cares, we really have to go in there, have a few dates decided, and we just have to hit it, because they will limit their participation. Another thing that I found that was really cool, I just ran across this morning, for those who speak more than one language, that you can actually volunteer to translate. And you can, as long as you speak another language other than your native language, you can volunteer to translate for different organizations and things like that, where people need to be able to access the information. So that's something that you can even do remotely. Translation.
Right. So during COVID-19, a lot of, sadly, but also, fortunate that there are people that can help out in times like this. COVID-19 has brought upon us some new jobs and things. Like yesterday, we just did an episode of Virtual Cafe that addresses the Census 2020 and how important that is to get your numbers counted through our community, so that we get appropriate funding from the government, depending on how many folks we have, in each region, in each county, in each state and whatnot. So right now, the census is hiring thousands of people. That's not exactly community service because you're getting paid, but that is a new job that has popped up, that only pops up, every 10 years or so. That's something that's very, very important right now. Also, because of COVID-19, we have lots of pop-up testing sites all over. We have, sometimes they're, at our campus, sometimes they're near the courthouse, but they're popping up all over Newark. And to combine that with Mr. Graham was saying, bilingual people in situations like that are crucial, right? And they might not always have a pile of bilingual folks, workers ready to go, volunteers ready to go for stuff like that. And there is testing sites popping up all over the place. So I'm sure that these folks are looking for volunteers, maybe even new hires to help them, facilitate these operations as we go along, because I don't think testing is going to be going anywhere. I think that's something that may stick around in our communities to help keep us safe and figure out, where the virus is going and where it's been. So keep in mind that COVID testing sites and the census are most likely looking for volunteers, maybe even new hires during this time. And that would be a great service that you could do to your community, especially if you're bilingual.
Yes, and that leads to an excellent opportunity that we can get engaged in right here on campus is the census, and making sure that we get involved with the census. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a matter of going around and helping to take the census count. It could just be encouraging everyone that you know or come in contact with on a cordial basis to understand the importance of that, because the census also leads to the allocation of resources, which is very important to us all in this country. And then we also have the upcoming elections, and getting out and making sure that your peers and in the community knows how to vote, whether it's going to be vote by mail, whether polls are going to be open. We need to make sure that people understand the process. So those are two big campaigns that I'm letting you know that are going to take place in Essex County College with itself, that students can get engaged in. And the census, and I look at the census, the way Joe said it, you also have to look at it like it's so important that they almost have to pay people to do it. Like, volunteers won't cut it, so they have to add the extra incentive to get as many people as they can. But it is a valuable service, whether you're getting paid for it or not. You're doing a valuable service. I think we've hit upon some concrete ideas, right? Some tutoring. Those are things that we can actively reach out to. Who would be willing to volunteer for tutoring? Middle school, high school?
I'm definitely willing to volunteer for that.
Anybody have a subject they'd be willing to tutor on?
I got English, social sciences, totally fine.
So if we had to name 2 or 3 that we could pursue, which ones would they be? Coming straight from the students. I want to hear everybody's opinion. If you want to put it in the chat, you can put it in the chat, right? What should be our 3 first community service initiatives?
I'd say for sure the first one is the tutoring. That's economically feasible for us right now. We have the human capital to do it. And then I'd say further down the line would be that PPE giveaway. It's really important. So, in the meantime, you could just preface with whoever has extra PPE lying around, maybe we can stockpile it and then give it away. And then as supplies increase, as you mentioned, Mr. Graham, then perhaps we can give it out on a larger scale on campus.
So can I add and essential supplies to PPE giveaway?
Yes.
All right. Would we like to get out to Branch Brook Park?
Yes, please. I noticed that toxic algae bloom out there, and part of that could be controlled by just participating in cleaning up the damn park. We have to make sure that trash is picked up. There's not leaking chemicals into the park, because I haven't been able to fish there in like 3 weeks because it's been pretty bad. So
okay,
if we want to get out there and clean that up too.
Who would like to volunteer to sign us up with a team? An Essex County College team. So everybody heard that? So we have Nick. Nick is going to volunteer for the sign up. I'm going to put the link in, okay? Okay, Nick?
Perfect.
I'm going to throw the link for that specific opportunity in there.
Okay.
Where you can see all of the dates. I'll let you arrange something. What do you think is a feasible number to shoot for volunteers from our end? I think the max is 50.
Well, we should at least for 30.
For 30?
Yeah, you got it right there.
I say 30 is a good number. There are plenty of us that right now do have the time to sit here and, as we were speaking about time management before in the last cafe that we had, you know, sending out, letting them know, listen, we're going to be here from this time to this time. Make it an all-day event so that we can get the numbers out, and not just say, because if you give them a small window, a 90-minute window, they'll show up the last 15 minutes and say, hey, I was here, I came, but there was nothing for me to do. You know, we stockpile some water, we make sure that we have sufficient supplies and enough things for them to do, because going around the pond itself, you can have people on the baseball side because it's open, as well as the opposite side, which leads onto the parking lot. So that entire section is a straight circle walkthrough. So there's not a gate or anything that would prohibit us from being on both sides of the fence.
Okay. So I guess that one sounds like a plan, right?
Oh, for sure.
And I've been out there before. It's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience. You know, even though you're cleaning up and you're doing what could amount to a lot of work, there's a lot of good socializing that takes place. Just being out there in nature and in the fresh air, and knowing that, especially every year, you know, when those cherry blossoms come around, you know that you've helped play a part in some small way in making sure that park was ready for people to come visit. All right. So Nick is going to get us a date. I guess all you have to do is create a team, and then we can share it, right?
Right. So that's what I'm looking into right now. I'm literally on that page as we speak.
And then we can share it. We can see how many, you know, what peers want to participate.
Nick, I'll send you my email in the chat, so just in case you need help, we can bounce off each other and see what needs to be done as far as you know, getting the group together, you know, since it's going to be, you know, it being a virtual thing where we have to get a flyer together and get it out to the students so that we can have a nice group come out and it just not be 4 or 5 people. I mean, 4 or 5 people is still, you know, it's still enough, but, you know, we want to have a nice big group out there so we can show the community that we're not just saying we're going to do something, but that we're actually going to do it.
I agree.
Well said. Well said. And do you two know each other already?
No, this is
All right.
No, not at all.
Nicholas Mendez.
This is the first.
No, first time. Hi, nice,
This
Jesse.
is
Nice
Jessica
to meet
Lopez. All right. Jessica is actually running for vice president.
Awesome.
Nicholas is running for senator of community relations, right? This is why he's heavily engaged, right? He came in here locked in on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have Manuel, who is on the line as well, who is running for secretary. All right.
Okay.
So it is very good to see such good student government potential officers already engaged in the things that matter the most. That really is a good sign of things to come. And I see Mr. Williams there. I think that's my buddy there. He's probably listening in the background. He always has a lot going on. But it's good to see you, Mr. Williams. He's always around for anything that's worthwhile and beneficial to his peers and community. How you doing, sir?
Thank you.
All right.
Hope you're doing well as too. Hello to everyone else.
All right. Good to see. Good having you here. All right. And then also, Joseph, if maybe we can ask you if there are any dates that may be available at your church where we can come up from Essex County College and we can help with the food distribution and whatever else they need to get taken care of.
Well, the distribution for fresh produce is only on Tuesdays and Thursdays through August 27th.
If you can see if they need more volunteers the next time that you volunteer, and then you could let us know the upcoming days, okay? The food distributions go a long way. We were helping Catholic charities a while back, and just by having about 6 to 7 volunteers, we were able to help them do within an hour what would you literally take them half a day. So you really get to see your help make a difference, and that's another place that I can look into as well, is the Catholic charities, and they're basically a food bank distributor around Newark in the Essex County area, and they usually need a lot of help. They usually only have about 2 or 3 people, and they prepare stuff for about, at least 100 people, and they bag it up the day of and deliver it the day of, and just a few volunteers goes a long way.
Mhm.
Anything anyone else wants to share about community service?
Well, I should ask, do we do like a back to school for the kids? Do we have a book bag drive where they do the giveaways with the supplies inside already for the school kids, especially because we don't know what's going to go on with the children as far as the learning the school is concerned. I know the governor at 1:00 was giving a big speech today in regards to whether it was going to be technically all virtual, or if it was going to be, they were going to do hybrid. But even so, the kids are going to need supplies regardless, whether they're going to be in home or whether they're going to be in school. So do we have a plan of action, or have we done anything to that retrospect of we've donated, or, because I know my church basically has a backpack giveaway where we invite everyone from the community. You don't even have to go to the church to pick up a backpack full of, supplies or whatever the child may need in order to start school off the right way.
We have had things like that in the past. Normally when you see a lot of drives, they do come from our student clubs and organizations. So that is something to consider. I know that we can always put it out there for donations if we contemplate quickly what we think that the kids would need. We know notebooks, pens, pencils, knapsacks. What else? I put flash drives, lunchboxes.
Yeah, lunchboxes, because a lot of these students who don't, when they do the applications and they don't get free lunch, the parents send, like, I'm a parent that my son is a picky eater. So I send lunch for him to school, and a lot of these book bags that you buy don't come with lunch boxes.
Okay.
And it doesn't even have to be like the old I want to say cast iron ones. They have plastic ones now that you can even stick in the fridge.
Yep. What else? What other supplies would the kids need? Highlighters.
Highlighters, crayons, markers, erasers. Composition notebooks more so than the spiral ones.
Okay, composition.
Yeah, composition notebooks more than the spiral ones. Folders, because they have individual, they need a homework folder, they need a math folder, they need a reading folder. So each teacher individualizes. So they need about 5 folders per student.
Okay, I'm putting this in the chat.
Okay.
All right. Now, would you like to take the lead on helping to organize this one?
I'll take the lead on this. That's not a problem. And what I can do is try to see who I can reach out to, especially our city officials, in regards to where they do, because I know they always do a drive as far as the city's concerned. I know my son's actual school also does the same thing. They have their own drive. So, even if we go out and we don't get the amount of donations that we may be looking for, I've come out of pocket and I've brought 10 book bags and gone to the dollar store and came out of pocket myself, just so that I know that children that may need, and donated it and say, hey, listen here, this is just the start, so that we can go ahead and try to get as much as give to these kids as much as we possibly can to start them off on the right way, especially with the fact that we don't know how they're going to start.
Exactly. So, and then we can work on a message to the college community to solicit donations. We'll need a collection
Exactly.
plan though. We'll need a plan for collection.
Yeah. At this point, we would have to find an address where they can, like, people that would want to donate, we could say, hey, listen, you can drop it off here, and make it more like have a donation box. But again, with the school being closed, that kind of makes it a little bit more difficult, which I don't have a problem saying, hey, listen, I'll go to you and pick up the supply. You understand? If you want to donate.
Well, let's try and figure this out. I will have to discuss it with some of my superiors and colleagues to make sure that it's something that we can proceed with if we needed to be a collection site. Alternatively, one thing that just came to my mind is that there may also, like how you said you were going to reach out, there may be some organizations with the stuff but don't have a way to distribute it.
Exactly, like directly with Crayola or directly with what's the other one? Rose Art.
And then another way to try and look at it is, I know it will be a lot, but what if, even if worst case scenario, if we did a same day drop off pickup?
That's not a bad idea.
Meaning we instructed everybody, listen, we need you to drop it off from this time to this time. Then we have this time to this time to sort it, and then another time frame.
And we can make it an all-day affair
to come get it. You know,
we can actually put it right in the gymnasium, which would be the best place.
Or in the parking deck, outside in the parking deck. Nice open area.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can have people just pull up, drop off, pull up, pick up.
It's COVID friendly.
Exactly. So we're not sitting around with supplies.
Yeah. Pull up, drop off, and pick up of supplies.
Same day.
Now, what day of the week will we be looking at? We'd be looking at what? Maybe a Saturday? Was this weekend more convenient for people? That would be more convenient, especially for parents. What do you think?
I think a weekend is always more convenient for the parents because at this point they do work. And if we're going to do it during the week, then it has to be it would have to be later on in the evening, right? After 5 o'clock, so that they can get to us. The purpose of it is for them to get the supplies that they need. So we want to make it essential so that it makes it easier for them to get to us, rather than say, oh, it's from 10 to 4 and parents are working, and then we're going to end up with all these supplies.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm putting these notes in chat.
Yeah.
I hope everybody else is just monitoring the chat. It's a nice, easy way to save the notes. So I think we have some concrete projects that we could really move forward with and really begin to make our mark again.
Yeah.
And I know it's been, difficult on everyone, especially people who it really drives them to really help others. And then other smaller ways that we can help others is just by checking up on others. Right? Just calls, right? Checking on family, making sure they're okay, or, that classmate you haven't spoken to in a few weeks. Right? And then also, always most important is making sure that you take care of yourself.
No, of course.
Right? Because you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
Right. Especially mentally. Not be afraid to reach out to people if you need to reach out. And I've been doing that lately. If I need to talk to someone or I crave social interaction because I'm stuck inside of my head, I'll go ahead and call who I want to call, rather than pre-COVID where I was like, I'm just going to keep it aside. I don't got any problems. Don't worry about it. It's not a joke. So as long as we can get out there and talk about it and not be afraid to call people when we need to call people, we'll be fine.
I agree, and that's something that we need to do regardless of COVID.
Right.
Right? Sometimes we need to just call people and just get outside our own heads.
Yeah.
Right? I think that this has also helped to highlight the importance of this social interaction, because trust me, I feel the same way you feel sometimes. And it's like, hey, whether it's I go out on the porch and talk to the neighbor, or whatever the case may be, you just need to have that social interaction. It is very important.
Yeah, I think these last few months, I think people have actually come out more, um, due to the simple fact that we're able to. But I think those first 4 months, people didn't know what to do with themselves because it was so heartening. You're stuck in the house, you couldn't do anything. Now look, now that we're able to come out, but we also have to be careful. We have to stay within we have the luxury of coming out. Let's keep it that way. At this point, we have to understand that you can't, just because you're going to come out doesn't mean I don't have to wear a mask, or I don't have to make sure you whenever you touch anything, like we carry around with wipes, and we carry around with um with sanitizer and stuff like that. And every time we touch something, we make sure we sanitize the hands, especially with the kids, because they're more susceptible to getting it, especially at the younger ones.
Yeah, they absolutely do touch everything. You really,
Hmm.
really notice it now that you really touch everything.
And that's the problem right now. They touch everything, and they touch everything, and then you don't realize it, and then they go and they pick their nose, and they put it all over their face, and it's just like
Right.
you say to yourself, they used to do it before, we didn't catch it. Now we're realizing it more. And the thing is these masks are so important. And they're not, especially, and I hate to say it this way, so please don't, if I offend anyone, I'm sorry. The younger generation. I went down to Wildwood and Jenkinson's about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't see a mask in sight. Myself, my husband, and my children were the only ones that were wearing masks, and I didn't see a mask in sight. And it's like they really think that they can't catch it. They're just as able to catch it as the people in the retirement homes. This doesn't have an age limit. This doesn't have an age frame. So the younger generation, I think that they need to push each other to say, hey, wear your mask, put your mask on, walk around with it. And it's not
Jessica,
just
if
a
I may,
mask statement.
yeah, Jessica, if I may, you're totally right, and that's one of the things that I wanted to pinpoint, especially in that SGA run, was to have a kind of committee of younger folks that go out to the parks or to local places where high school students gather or teenagers gather, and encourage the use of masks, because it seems less intrusive than police officers doing it. And the model,
Hmm.
because it's been done in Maplewood, where high school students were coming around to Maple Crest Park and, observing people without masks and kind of saying, hey, bud, you might want to wear a mask, and this is why. And, just basically encouraging the facts.
Exactly. Well, you saw the incident on the news yesterday at Sesame Place.
Right.
A 17-year-old employee was beat up because he asked a couple to please put their mask on. They got annoyed, waited till they saw him again, and then beat him up because he asked them to please put their mask on. Like, that's insane.
Right.
You'd rather go to jail and sit in jail because someone told you to put a mask on that ultimately may save your life.
Right. I agree.
So that's got to be part of our community outreach, is not just the opportunities that we can provide for folks on campus. Part of our community outreach during COVID-19 should be to be inspiring other students, like you guys are
Hmm.
saying, to wear the mask, to understand the importance of not spreading the virus. That is the main goal of wearing a mask. It's not the be all end all answer to everything, but
Hmm.
we know for a fact that it tremendously reduces the spread of it, and that's all we want to do, is keep the spread nice and low.
Low, exactly. And now with winter coming,
I
it
don't
seems
blame you
that
guys. Well, I don't blame you guys.
Okay.
There's some knuckleheads all over the country who don't take the social distancing nor the COVID seriously. because they don't know the boundaries between life and death. Because I see a few news reports that some people refuse to wear masks. And I think I've seen one in New York City, one news report in New York City, where a couple of young adults, 4 teenagers, stole a bus and kicked the bus driver out, and they were performing a party inside of us doing their own thing. Because I was surprised and shocked. And I said, what is wrong with these people? Because they don't know how to take the boundaries between life and death seriously. And I see some in my community who don't take it seriously. So I just feel nobody mind my own business and pray for them.
Yep.
You're absolutely right, Joseph. And well, I think a lot of municipalities and states across this country, including ourselves, are going to, since we're all kind of jumping back in, we're all going to find out the true importance of masks and PPE and spraying things and sanitizing our hands and all that good stuff. We're all about to truly find out for ourselves firsthand how important this stuff is. And I hope that this has a positive connotation. I'm not hoping that anything horrible happens or that the virus spreads or gets even worse or anything like that. We want to see people back at work. We want to see people back in school. We want to see people obeying the guidelines. And if we can do all this together, think about how strong that is. Think about how great that makes us look, that not only were we thrust back upon going back to work in person, going back to school in person, but we did it and we didn't get sick. And we followed the guidelines and we wore the mask. And when we saw other people in our communities that weren't taking it seriously, maybe we inspired them to wear that mask and keep their families safe. So there's a lot of potential here for us to do community service during COVID, just using our time. That's it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And in a sense, a lot of it is, a cultural adjustments as well. You read about in some countries and in some Asian cultures where it wasn't frowned upon because it was already thought upon as being the cool thing to do. Where there was a pop star some years ago who had wore a mask in a photo, so all of the teens and middle schoolers wanted to have a mask. And then when they started to experience certain pandemics, it was nothing for them to grab the mask because they were already wearing them prior to, because they were cool. So they already had them on hand. So for them, it was like, it wasn't a problem. So, some things, do take adjustments. Unfortunately, in all situations, you don't have a lot of time to adjust. But I believe that eventually we will get there. And, as you all mentioned, just spreading that information is a valuable community service, especially if you can get it across to your peers. So I do think that we had a very, very good session. We walked away with some concrete projects that we can follow through. Our school supply drive, our Branch Brook Park cleanup, our PPE giveaway, our tutoring, and of course our COVID-19 awareness, which should always be our initiative moving through the pandemic, is enlightening each other, and as Nick said, spreading the facts. And sometimes people are just not aware of the facts, or they haven't heard the facts from a source that they'll believe. Sometimes it's not the message. Sometimes it really is the source.
We want to thank you all of our students, for tuning in to Virtual Cafe to discuss what we can do for our communities during the pandemic. Thank you to all of our SGA and Student Life ambassador candidates that are with us today. We appreciate you coming here to spread cheer and goodwill towards all of our college community. We hope that you and your families are staying well during this time, and we will see you on the next time. Take care.